On May 10th, 2024, a small family gathered to celebrate a birthday. Like any such occasion, everyone joined in singing the classic birthday song together. But something deeply unusual would unfold during that festive evening. According to Brookie Diaz, the birthday girl herself, not a single day has passed where this incident hasn't crossed her mind. What took place on her birthday is something she simply cannot shake. It's roughly 9 p.m. when this moment is recorded. See for yourself.
Happy birthday, dear Brookie. Happy birthday to you. Make a wish. Make a wish. Make a wish.
And many more.
Right. Woo! Almost. Whoa. All right, Jackie.
I'm taking for
Oh, forgot. I don't want to know. I don't want to know the details. All right, here, honey. The girl's got to have a present. This is from me. Yeah.
Did you know? How cute. Should we cut the cake?
Yeah. Jackie, press its pause.
Hey kiddo, hope you're doing well. I'm feeling much, much better now, so whenever you can.
Please tell me that.
Hey kiddo, hope you're doing well. I'm feeling much, much better now, so whenever you can, just come visit me, okay? Okay.
Shut up. No way. That has not worked. That has not worked.
A toy fire truck suddenly activates at the exact moment the family is listening to a voicemail from their dad. And this wasn't just any random toy. It was a collectible that their father had treasured. Given the timing, the family couldn't help but feel that dad was somehow reaching out to them. Whether that was a coincidence is impossible to say, but it's the footage captured just 1 week later that left Brookie and her family completely at a loss. She's lying in bed, doing her best to document what's happening around her.
I just missed a call from my dad. He's been gone. Like, I just heard his voice one more time.
This moment is precisely why Brooke became convinced her father had been present with her. She interpreted it as her dad sending her a message, letting her know he was still around, even after she'd missed the chance to speak with him. Whether he was truly there in some form remains unknown, but hearing that teddy bear speak in his voice at that particular moment was unsettling enough on its own. And yet, just days after that, something else occurred that left her deeply shaken. This next incident, she believes, had absolutely nothing to do with her father. Whatever she encountered that night filled her with a level of fear she had never experienced before, and she's certain her dad would never have caused her to feel that way. It happens late at night. This is a piece of footage that Brookie struggles to discuss, and it's easy to understand why. The experience rattled her so profoundly that even revisiting it now stirs up overwhelming emotions. Despite knowing that sharing the video might not bring easy answers, she put it out there hoping someone could make sense of it. Some viewers have suggested it could be her father's spirit trying to connect, but Brookie herself believes it was something far more sinister. That night, a crushing sense of dread washed over her, unlike anything she'd ever known. So naturally, she finds much more comfort in focusing on the gentler moments that have been captured. Those are the ones that help carry her through the grief of losing her father. They remind her that even in his absence, he remains with her in some way. Like everything else here, this story has no definitive answer. Luke posted 3 short clips, all captured on the same evening, and they escalate in intensity with each one. It starts with him picking up strange voices somewhere inside his home. He pulls out his phone and starts recording, hoping to document whatever is responsible. For a moment, there's nothing but silence. Then his bedroom door gives a subtle twitch.
Still hearing voices. Listen.
Within seconds though, the knocking begins. Quiet at first, then building, then turning into a full-blown aggressive hammering, like something on the other side is desperate to get through.
You're knocking again.
About a minute later, Luke posts the second video. He's moving carefully through the space, visibly rattled, when a whisper slices through the quiet. A small, childlike voice, barely audible but impossible to dismiss, asks, "Who is that guy?" A few seconds go by, and then the same voice comes back. That's all Luke needs to hear. The camera swings wildly as he sprints out of the room. What Luke captured that night goes well beyond random, unexplained sounds. The pounding, the whispering, the little girl's voice asking about him specifically. Taken together, it all suggests something that was fully aware of his presence, something observing him, and something that had no intention of keeping silent. Solo hiker ventured out into the woods by herself, a bold move that few would attempt, and before long, she became convinced that something out there was tracking her every step.
Hi. Hi. Yep. Yep.
Cutting through the darkness between the trees, a pair of glowing eyes catches the beam of her flashlight. She speaks out loud, warning whatever it is that she's heading out, then turns and gets out of there fast.
I'm leaving. I'm leaving.
What is that?
Once she's put some distance between herself and the thing, she stops to look back, and there it is, lurking just beyond the reach of her light. It bobs up and down as it moves, steadily keeping pace with her. The sight of it sends a wave of pure terror through her.
That ain't a person. That ain't a person.
Ah! It just keeps getting up and down, up and down. Stop! I keep running. Ah! Somebody drive by, somebody drive by.
Gasping for air, she glances back again, and it's still right behind her, brazenly closing the gap. She insists that whatever that thing is, it is definitely not human, and she wastes no time getting out of there. Luckily, she made it out in one piece to share what happened. What was meant to be an exciting school outing for these kids took a terrifying turn when something deeply disturbing ended up caught on their camera without warning. On June 24, 2012, a group of students recorded this footage on a basic feature phone. The low resolution is obvious given the device, but what the camera managed to pick up is genuinely unsettling. Pay close attention to what unfolds.
Ya está grabando.
While the students were posing for a group photo, they suddenly picked up a sound coming from the other side of an underpass directly behind them. The moment they turned to look, sheer terror swept through the group because something frightening was standing there. Then, as one of the students reached down to grab his things, the camera caught this.
Ya, no manches, vente. Espérate, ya hay algo, vente, vamos. Espérate, güey. No mames, espérate. Se ve algo allá.
A dark figure can be seen darting from one side to the other. The instant it appeared, the students erupted in screams, and that level of raw panic clearly isn't the kind of reaction you'd have to a stray animal. According to the description attached to the video, the students said it resembled a small child, except the entire body was pitch black. Even with full daylight conditions, the figure's shape couldn't be properly made out. On top of that, this location was nowhere near any residential area, which makes the idea of a child being there hard to explain. Personally, I'm not convinced this is supernatural, but it's undeniably strange. So what do you think that figure actually was? Something ordinary or something else entirely? Here's a warning sign from the animal kingdom that you should never take lightly.
What do you see? Do you see something?
On April 30th, 2026, a young woman named Carwis was out on a trail ride deep in the forest with her horse Cadillac and her dog Pero when Cadillac suddenly began acting odd, fixating on something far off in the distance.
What was that? Did you hear that? What do you see? Do you see something? All right, we gotta go. Come on.
Whoa. Hey, listen to me.
She picks up on a sound drifting out from the tree line while her horse comes to a complete stop, locked onto whatever is making that noise. Sensing that something is very wrong, she mounts up and heads back down the trail, the animals still visibly unsettled, and that's when she spots a helicopter making circles overhead.
What is going on right now? What do you see, boy? What do you see? Whoa, Caddy. No. Don't do it. Okay, I knew you were. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Caddy, I'm falling.
Without any warning, Cadillac bolts off the trail in a panic, completely unresponsive, and Carwis nearly gets thrown off. They eventually push through into a clearing and find the trail again, trying to make their way out, but the sounds are drawing closer.
What was that? Did you hear that? Yeah, you heard that too? Do you see it?
As she pushes to get out of there fast, she looks back and realizes Pero is nowhere to be found.
Okay. Where's Pero? Pero? Oh no. Pero! Come here, boy, where'd you go? Oh no. Pero!
After searching for a bit, she locates Pero, and the group presses on as daylight begins to fade. Through all of it, Cadillac's ears remain pinned forward, locked on, clearly tracking something unseen out in the dark.
He's been acting weird and keeping his ears really perked up and forward this whole ride, so I wonder if he's been listening to something that I haven't been able to hear.
The further they travel from the area, the sounds gradually fade away entirely.
Well, whatever it was, I think we got away from it finally. I haven't been hearing it.
Between the screaming she heard, the approaching noises, and her horse's intense focus on something she couldn't see, this was no ordinary trail ride. A lot of viewers are convinced This wasn't a wildlife encounter at all, but something far more sinister, and the takeaway seems clear. Never second guess what your animals are trying to tell you. Drop your thoughts in the comments below. A woman had set up her camera to record herself dancing in an empty parking lot, completely unaware that something disturbing was lurking just behind her. Out of nowhere, an unsettling and eerie figure materialized and stood staring directly over her shoulder. She kept right on dancing, totally oblivious to the chilling presence just feet away. Our next clip comes from the YouTube channel shown on screen right now. So in Germany, there's a well-known pastime that's been circulating among teens and young adults for years, commonly called the moving glass game. Think of it as something along the same lines as a Ouija board, the type of thing people try out just to satisfy their curiosity. And that's precisely the mindset this group of friends brought to the table. They were convinced it was completely harmless, just a laugh, nothing but an overhyped party trick that people blow way out of proportion. But what unfolded next gave them every reason to understand why people warn you not to play around with this kind of thing.
Geist, bist du anwesend? Wenn ja, send uns ein Zeichen.
Ist gut. Mann, du musst schon ein bisschen ernst bleiben. Ey, wackelt
Ja,
hier?
ja, in diesem Video merkst du, dass wir wackeln.
Ich dachte, der Geist ist schon da.
Also nochmal. Geist, wenn du da bist, gib uns ein Zeichen und antworte mit Ja.
Mann, der Fucker will nicht, Alter.
Mann, ist immer so, bei mir klappt das nie, Digga. Geist, wenn du da bist, gib uns ein Zeichen. Ey, hör auf.
Der schiebt.
N? Ach, auf Ja geht der.
Jetzt noch.
Da war was.
Den hat geschoben von uns.
Ja, den hat geschoben, ja.
Ja?
Nee, ich kann nicht
Anja bestimmt.
Nee, ich schieb nicht. Ich kann nur meinen Finger runter
Klar,
lassen.
schiebt den.
Nee, ich schieb nicht.
Geist, wie heißt du? Wer schiebt?
Ich kann das nicht rufen.
Ey, wer schiebt, die schiebt doch eher.
Wie heißt der denn?
B war das, glaube ich.
Die schiebt doch eher.
BM? Also was ist denn BM? BMG?
Nils, du schiebst.
Ich schiebe nicht. Wie soll ich denn? BTM oder was?
Nee.
Hä?
Ey, wer ist das?
Was ist denn jetzt los? Anja schiebt.
Ich schieb nicht, ich schwöre schon, ich hab Angst. Du hast dich schon! Nur weil sie hat's noch weiter gedreht, das hab ich gesehen!
Was ist jetzt los? Alter!
At the start, nothing seems out of the ordinary whatsoever. Everyone's cracking up, not treating it seriously for a second, assuming someone in the group is nudging the glass to mess with the others. So they all lift their hands away entirely, and the glass continues moving on its own. Then suddenly, it launches upward with force, slamming into the ceiling and sending the whole room into absolute chaos. People love to write these things off as silly fads or internet trends, but there's no shortage of accounts connected to similar rituals, from Ouija boards to spirit calling games, where innocent curiosity spirals into something those involved wish they'd never started. So where do you stand on this one? Drop your thoughts down in the comments below. Somewhere in Massachusetts, close to a place called Haunted Mansion, a cave is quietly building a reputation as one of the most terrifying locations in the entire country. The sprawling mansion dates back to 1875 and is celebrated for its stunning architecture, its shadowy past, and a seemingly endless stream of paranormal reports. Those who visit frequently describe hearing voices with no source drifting through the corridors, invisible footsteps moving across the upper levels, and some guests have reportedly even experienced something far more unsettling, encounters they struggle to put into words. Mysterious occurrences throughout the property have never been fully accounted for, so it's little wonder that strange moments keep getting caught on camera. One evening, as the site's caretaker was making her rounds and securing the mansion for the night, one of those cameras recorded something that'll make your skin crawl.
Anybody up here? No.
After going through the room and confirming everything was in order, the caretaker pulled the door firmly closed behind her, listening for the distinct sound of the lock engaging. But just seconds later, after she had stepped out from an adjacent room, something stopped her cold. That same heavy door began to slowly swing open by itself, just wide enough to grab her attention instantly. Now, this woman has spent 16 years looking after that mansion, and her entire reaction was a single, composed no. Clearly, encounters like this leave a mark on people no matter where they happen. But honestly, if that door swung open near me, I'd be sprinting straight through it and never once looking back. Joanna Pascoe shared video online after spotting something odd inside her daughter Evelyn's room.
Here to hurt us, right? Doesn't seem like you are. You're hovering there, though. I can see that you're hovering.
Evelyn is Joanna's firstborn. Before having her, Joanna went through 2 miscarriages, which left her deeply protective of her baby. She frequently checks in on the monitor just to make sure Evelyn is doing fine. Then one day, something caught her completely off guard.
Okay. That's not possible. What is that? What is that? What is it? Look at the way, look. It's lingering. Is it the light outside? Like, there's no pinhole, empty, like, the curtains, I pulled the curtains closed. And it's not leaving. It's getting near her. Oh my God. Did she just touch it?
A tiny orb of light can be seen drifting around Evelyn's crib, appearing to react to the baby's movements and hovering nearby. What makes it even more unsettling is that Evelyn herself seems aware of it, her eyes tracking it, as though the two are somehow communicating.
Oh my God. Did she just touch it?
A number of people who watch the footage believe it could be the spirit of one of Joanna's lost pregnancies. Others have suggested it might be a guardian angel, or perhaps something no one can quite explain. Whatever the case, Joanna takes solace in it, feeling as though some presence may be keeping a watchful eye over her little girl. Get out of this house, now.
I command you to leave the house in the name of the Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit. I am reading the Father's...
After enduring years of spine-chilling paranormal experiences, one man finally reached his breaking point. Convinced that his personal faith was shield enough, he tried to purify his home on his own, with no real understanding of exorcism or spiritual cleansing. Then, during what should have been a quiet night's sleep, everything went wrong.
Son and the Holy Spirit, te pido, Señor, que me proteja en el nombre del Padre, Hijo y Espíritu Santo. Hoy quiero leer este salmo. Thus says the Lord, your Redeemer, the Holy One of Israel. I am the Lord of the God, who teaches you the prophet, who leads you by the way you should go.
In the name of the Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit, I command you to take these demons out of the house. In the name of the Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit, I ask you to leave my house, please. I command you to leave the house in the name of the Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit. I am reading the Father's prayers. Leave this house now. Leave in the name of the Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit. I command you to leave right now. In the name of the Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit.
Here's what unfolded. Without warning, blood-curdling screams tore through every corner of the house. Pieces of furniture rattled violently, and the temperature in the room plummeted. Terror gripped everyone present as a cross mounted on the wall began rotating on its own until it hung completely inverted. Witnessing that, the man was overcome with absolute dread, and the deeply unsettling experience left him with one haunting conclusion: that something truly demonic had taken hold inside of him. Back in the day, Adam made a name for himself as an indie filmmaker and director, and these days, his TikTok presence is mostly travel content and slice-of-life updates. Nothing remotely eerie. What his newer followers likely have no idea about, though, is that in 1991, he positioned a camcorder inside his family home and recorded something that has stumped paranormal investigators ever since. The footage is more than 3 decades old, which means sophisticated digital editing tools simply weren't within reach of everyday people at the time, lending the clip a kind of unfiltered credibility. Then, in April 2026, Adam came forward with a video breaking down the chilling recording he made all those years ago.
Follower that wants to see my Barbie Plays Shadow Ghost footage. I'm going to show you the original footage that I caught my dad's video camera back in 1991. This clip has been featured on so many paranormal shows over the years, and they tried to debunk it and they couldn't, because what you're about to see might spook you a little bit.
Once you actually study this vintage tape, what you're looking at is genuinely jaw-dropping. Seated in a chair is a dark, partially transparent figure with a clearly defined human shape. You can make out the head and the body without much effort. Rather than sitting completely still like a shadow or a smudge, this thing actually moves with a smooth, lifelike quality that's hard to dismiss. As the recording continues, the silhouette deliberately rises from the chair and strolls out of frame, vanishing entirely. For something filmed on a basic home camera in 1991, replicating that kind of transparency and fluid, natural movement would have been an extraordinary feat for anyone without professional resources. So the question remains: genuine paranormal encounter or an elaborate old-school hoax? A man from France claims he's been tormented by a poltergeist for several months. The disturbing activity seems to follow him everywhere: his job, the gym, even the comfort of his own home. Initially, nobody took him seriously when he came forward with his story about something supernatural latching onto him. That's when he decided to start filming every strange occurrence he could, determined to build a body of evidence. He eventually uploaded the footage to a brand new social media account he called Poltergeist Official, a name that hints he wants to stay anonymous while still seeking answers from whoever's watching. The earliest clips he shared were recorded at his place of work, and they've left people seriously unsettled.
Partout, à la maison, comme au boulot, comme n'importe où en fait. Du coup, j'ai décidé de le laisser poser sur une table du boulot volontairement et je suis parti. Et regardez ce qui se passe. Là, j'étais en train de faire la voix pour la prochaine vidéo. Là, regardez, ici. Je suis sûr qu'elle était en train de bouger. Putain, c'est flippant. Hé, oh, oh!
He intentionally sets his phone down on a table at work and steps away, and within seconds it begins moving across the surface on its own. Then a door slams shut without warning, and a power cord starts swinging back and forth as though unseen hands are pulling at it. But whatever force was disturbing objects around his workplace wasn't done with him. According to the man himself, it pursues him no matter where he heads. By this stage, the man is beginning to question his own sanity. The only thing keeping him grounded is the fact that he has all of this recorded. None of the people around him can offer a rational explanation. The best suggestion anyone has come up with is to bring in a priest for an exorcism. Still, he keeps the camera rolling every time something strange unfolds. And that persistence is what led to him catching this on film.
C'est ça là. Je suis sûr que c'est ça. Ouais. Ouais. Vous voyez? Je vais essayer de lui parler. Hé! Hey! Hey, tu me fais pas peur, hein? Oh, là, j'étais en train de bosser et je suis quasiment sûr qu'il y a ce truc là qui était en train de bouger là. Oh. C'est pas possible, une bestiole dedans là. Putain, y'a rien. Y'a rien. Vous voyez, je vous mens pas, hein. Je vous mens pas, hein. Là, y a rien non plus, hein. Putain, c'est pas vrai ça.
Solo van life carries with it an undeniable sense of liberation, but also a real feeling of exposure, particularly once the sun goes down. A traveler who goes by the name F had converted his van into a mobile home for his journeys on the road. Every night before settling in, he'd position a small camera outside to keep an eye on his surroundings. But one evening, parked deep in a secluded stretch of woodland, that routine would take a very different turn. Watching the live feed from his phone, something caught his eye and sent a wave of dread straight through him.
Hai, mendekatlah. Tunjukkan dirimu. Buat semua yang ada di sini, buat semua penunggu yang ada di sini, mendekatlah. Tunjukkan dirimu. Buat semua penunggu yang ada di sini, mendekatlah. Tunjukkan dirimu. Buat semua penunggu yang ada di sini, tiba-tiba nggak bisa gerak. Buat semua penunggu yang ada di sini, gerak sendiri. Nge-lag nggak? Ini kenapa ya? Buat semua penunggu yang ada di sini, tolong mendekat.
The camera sweeps slowly across the scene, revealing nothing out of the ordinary near the barn. No motion, no sign of anyone. Then, as it rotates back the other way, a shape emerges. Further back in the darkness, you can clearly distinguish a woman standing motionless, dressed head to toe in white, her long dark hair hanging down. She appears without warning, completely still, her gaze fixed directly on the van, and perhaps most disturbing of all, she's uncomfortably close. It's the kind of silence that gets under your skin, because honestly, not many people could keep their composure staring at something like that. He was out on patrol when he stumbled onto something that would shake him to his core. This footage was captured by a police officer cruising down a highway in the middle of the night. At some point, he spotted a vehicle sitting on the shoulder in a no parking zone. He pulled over and walked up to the car to check things out. But what unfolded from that point on was genuinely terrifying.
Like somebody's in the car. I swear to God, I saw somebody in the car. This is some spooky shit right here. I'm gonna have to call this in the sheriff's department. I don't hear the music no more. Like somebody's in the car. This is some spook.
The car was completely empty, yet out of nowhere, music began blaring on its own in the most unsettling way. But the truly disturbing part came later. When the officer reviewed his footage, he noticed what appeared to be a hand moving around inside the vehicle, something he hadn't picked up on in the moment. The second he swung the car door open, the hand vanished, and a thorough search turned up absolutely nothing. So what do you think is behind this chilling mystery? Late one night, a woman by the name of Carla jolted awake in a panic, disturbed by strange sounds coming from within her own bedroom. She initially tried to brush it off as a trick of her sleep-addled mind, but the noises refused to stop. Faint shuffling, subtle disturbances, as though another presence was moving through the room alongside her. What makes this especially chilling is that Carla has no roommates. She lives completely on her own. Gripped by unease, she reaches for her phone and hits record. What follows is something genuinely hard to explain.
Arriba de mí se escuchan ruidos. Que no hay nadie. No mames. Güey, la concha. Güey. Güey. Chingue su madre, me voy a asomar. Ay, no, se va a salir el corazón. Güey, no hay nada. Mire, no hay nadie, güey.
Right above where she's lying, the mattress begins to press and shift as though an invisible body is resting on it, slowly repositioning itself. Despite her fear, Carla musters the nerve to investigate. She stands up, scans every corner of the room, and inspects the bed thoroughly, but comes up completely empty. No one is there, and nothing offers any kind of logical answer. She tries to put the whole thing behind her, convincing herself a reasonable explanation must exist somewhere. But just a few days later, on a simple trip to the kitchen for a glass of water, things take an even darker turn.
Ahí me quedé sola en la casa, y se escucha como si estuvieran moviendo las sillas, de que así como si las estuvieran, pero ya no alcancé a grabar eso. ¿Quién anda ahí? ¿Quién eres? ¿Qué es lo que quieres?
The moment she steps into the room, she spots one of the chairs sitting somewhere it shouldn't be. As she moves toward it, a jarring, thunderous sound tears through the silence. Something that resembles a heavy object being dragged violently across the floor. She immediately retreats. Summoning her courage, she tries to approach once more, but the sound erupts again, even more intense than before. At that point, sheer terror takes over completely. The footage ends abruptly as she sprints back to barricade herself inside her room. Once these clips made their way online, many viewers became convinced that Carla could be dealing with genuine poltergeist activity, but the question that lingers is whether those events ever truly ended, or whether that was simply just the start. Late one evening in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, Heather Paul is out on her front porch, enjoying some ice cream with her husband and their 2 sons. Then, without warning, Heather spots something that sends a chill.
There's like little mosquitoes.
What is going on? What? What did you say? What did you say, Mommy? I can't hear you.
You gotta keep that open so it doesn't get all musty.
You can't tell me it's not good.
Straight through her, she whispers the words, "She's carrying me," to her husband and kids, but nobody around her has any clue what she means. Neither her husband nor her sons can make out the strange figure dressed in white that is strolling down the sidewalk just roughly 20 feet from where they're sitting. Heather would later describe the woman as, quote, "a lady dressed like a nurse from the 1950s with an eerie grin on her face." Completely unsettled and unable to wrap her head around why nobody else noticed the woman, Heather decides to pull up the footage from her front door security camera. And what she finds stops her cold. The recording clearly captures a pale, ghostly figure passing right in front of the house.
It immediately creeped me.
And here's where things take a darker turn, because Heather's home sits just 1 mile from a notorious and long-abandoned psychiatric facility, the Philadelphia State Hospital at Byberry.
I live about a mile from where Byberry State Hospital used to be. This is one of the, I'm pretty sure, the most notorious mental hospital in the country. A lot of abuse went on there. There was lobotomies performed on patients. There was experiments performed on patients. A lot of them lost their lives because they were just treated so horribly. The conditions that that hospital was in was so inhumane, and no human should have ever had to go through what these patients went through. And these people just needed help. It's just very sad. They were so overcrowded. Like the nurse to patient ratio was just extreme.
With 2 student nurses and maybe 3 attendants, we have all we can do to bathe the patients, get them to cafeteria, take them to the doctors, give them their medications, and try to keep the place clean.
Now, when I was a kid growing up, we used to definitely go in there, and it was really scary. Like the second you walk on the grounds, you just feel like it's cold, it's not normal, it feels weird. Like you can tell somebody's watching you. There's underground tunnels underneath, so we used to run around them too, and they used to use those tunnels to transport bodies, and there was still those like metal slab beds that they were still down there when we went in there, like, you know, in the 2000s. I felt my arm grabbed in there once, and I moved my flashlight.
But the story doesn't stop there. As it turns out, Heather's father grew up in that very same house. When she shows him the disturbing footage, he reveals that a woman named Linda once lived next door. And back in the 1950s, Linda worked as a nurse at Byberry Mental Hospital. So was what Heather saw that night the apparition of a long-dead nurse from that infamous institution? And if not, how do you explain why absolutely no one else could see her? While venturing through the dense forests of Transylvania, Romania, in search of somewhere to take cover, one explorer came across a derelict building sitting completely alone in the woods. He decided to head inside and have a look around, but what waited for him in the shadows stopped him cold. The figure seemed human at first glance, until he got a better look. Dark grey skin, eyes that seemed to glow in the dark, and a pair of sharp horns. Pure terror took over, and he bolted from the building without looking back. He eventually uploaded the footage to the internet, though the majority of people who watched it wrote it off as staged. This family had always felt uncomfortable leaving their little boy to sleep alone in his room, so they set up a camera to keep watch through the night. What they never expected was that this very precaution would end up recording something that left countless viewers genuinely unsettled. At some point in the dead of night, the boy suddenly stirred, climbed out of bed, and settled onto the floor, behaving as though someone else was present with him. He kept his gaze fixed on a darkened corner of the room and appeared to be speaking to something entirely invisible to the camera. But that was just the start of it. Pay close attention to what happens in this frame. Without any warning, the chair next to the child came crashing down onto the floor, sending the boy into a fit of screaming. What's strange though, is that he kept pointing back at the chair over and over, almost desperately insisting he had nothing to do with it falling. And from that point on, things took an even darker turn. The boy's body was suddenly hurled forcefully to the ground, as if something had physically pushed him. Yet this time, rather than dissolving into pure panic, he kept on crying, while appearing to argue back, as though he were frustrated with some unseen figure standing right in front of him. And that figure, somehow, seemed to be there. The footage spread rapidly across social media and ignited fierce debate almost immediately. Plenty of people were convinced the camera had stumbled upon proof of an invisible presence haunting that room, while skeptics maintained it was nothing more than a young child's overactive imagination paired with a string of unfortunate accidents. So what's your take? What do you believe was really going on in that room? A man from Chilca, Peru, says he captured something deeply unsettling on camera near a local pier in the dead of night. He was passing through the area when the quiet was suddenly interrupted by an odd sound rising up from the water. Initially, he had no idea what he was listening to. Perhaps an animal, perhaps something shifting along the shoreline. Nervous, but too curious to walk away, he moved in for a closer look. That's the moment the peaceful night took a sharp turn towards something far more disturbing.
Pasando con el gobierno y la NASA. Ahora han construido la NASA acá en el Perú. Ayer me fui a Chilca y esto pasó. Quisiera saber qué cosa fue o qué cosa es. Ayúdenme por favor ustedes a descubrir esto. Pero en una de las lagunas de Chilca me pasó esto. Nada, ayúdenme por favor.
Out of the dark water, a strange figure slowly begins to emerge. Its form is vaguely humanoid, but nothing about it seems right. The outline is deeply unnatural, and what look like 3 elongated claws are visible near its body, giving the entity a horrifying, almost monstrous quality. It moves at a deliberate pace, which somehow makes everything worse, as though whatever is pulling itself out of that water has no reason to feel rushed. The man immediately loses his nerve and bolts from the scene. What came next remains unknown, but the setting itself adds another layer of dread to the whole thing. Chilca has a long-standing reputation for the unexplained, with residents reporting bizarre nocturnal creatures, mysterious apparitions, and UFO activity over the city for years. So was this simply an odd shape in the water that the camera distorted? Or did this man actually film something paranormal crawling out of one of Peru's most enigmatic locations? The first clip today comes from a TikTok account called DocsHouse23 and features home security footage recorded late at night inside what looks like a completely ordinary residence. At the start of the video, we see a few family members moving through the house, going about their evening routines without a care in the world. But while all of that is happening, something decidedly odd is also taking place. And you might miss it if you're not paying attention. Catch that? Throughout the recording, there seems to be some kind of strange orb-like shape drifting through the room. Normally, footage like this gets written off pretty quickly. Dust particles or a bug flying past the lens will do it every time. What sets this particular orb apart though, is just how clearly and consistently it shows up across the entire clip. The manner in which it glides through the space is what gives the footage its unsettling quality, almost as though it's intentionally circling the family members while they go about completely oblivious. A follow-up video was posted shortly after, capturing even more disturbing activity, this time around the exterior of the home near the back. Keep your eyes locked on the lower left corner of the frame. Right in that area, what looks like a dark, shadowy figure briefly appears along the edge of the shot before vanishing entirely. There's a chance a rational explanation exists for both of these recordings, especially given how night vision security cameras can play tricks with lighting, shadow, and motion. Still, the pairing of that floating orb and the mysterious figure lurking outside is enough to make these videos genuinely hard to brush aside. So where do you land on this one? Could this family have actually documented paranormal activity in and around their home? Or is something else entirely going on here? In the following clip you're about to watch, a man named Antonio is moving through the courtyard of an abandoned asylum at night, flashlight cutting through the dark, white-walled buildings, pressing in on either side, a bucket and broom sitting outside the entrance like whoever left them there didn't plan on coming back for them. What makes this different from a standard urban exploration video is the caption, "Antonio has been here before," which means this isn't someone stumbling into something unexpected, it's someone who already knows what this place feels like at night and chose to return anyway, and that distinction matters. He hesitates at the doorway, muttering to himself in Spanish, half talking himself in and half talking himself out, before shifting into prayer, invoking the blood of Christ, commanding whatever is inside to stop before he's even seen anything yet, which tells you everything about what he was expecting to find in there. Watch.
Puta, no, chicos, esto está demasiado cargado, loco. Está de... ¡Ala, qué verga! ¿Qué? Vaya, ala, no sé, entro. Me dan ganas de entrar, se los juro, porque quiero... Pero... Ok. Nosotros venimos para esto. Nosotros venimos a grabar esto. Ok. La sangre de Cristo tiene poder. La sangre de Cristo tiene poder. Tú no tienes poder aquí. Estoy bañado en la sangre de Cristo, ¿entendiste? Alto demonio, basta, detente. ¡Basta, demonio! Te ordeno que te detengas. ¡Basta! Puta madre. No, chica, la mierda, loco. Tía, esa tía se está moviendo. Uy, no me jodas, no. No me jodas. No, por un momento pensé que había alguien ahí dentro. ¡Uy, no! Pensé que había alguien adentro, loco. Te lo juro que yo pensé que me iba a topar con alguien adentro. ¡Mierda!
The office chair just inside the doorway rolls backward several feet on its own, smooth, deliberate, covering real distance before stopping deep in the dark, and Antonio screams at it in Spanish, ordering it to stop. Then it rotates. No one is in that room. That movement isn't a drift, and it isn't an uneven floor. It moves with intention, and the timing is the detail most viewers can't get past, because the chair doesn't react while he's walking the path or standing in the courtyard. It moves in the exact window between the end of his prayer and the moment he steps through that doorway, as if whatever is in that room was listening to every word and waiting for him to finish. Abandoned asylums are considered some of the most residually saturated environments in paranormal research. Decades of fear and suffering absorbed into the architecture, compounding long after the building empties out. But residual energy doesn't respond to prayer, and that chair didn't drift. It waited. So what do you think? Was Antonio walking into a space thick with trapped energy, or did something in that asylum hear his prayer and decide to answer it? This next set of clips comes from a series of videos shared by the same man, recorded across multiple early morning hours, 4 a.m., 5 a.m., sometimes pushing past dawn, all centered on the same claim, that La Llorona, the weeping woman of Mexican and Latin American folklore, had taken up residence in his home. For context, La Llorona is one of the most enduring figures in Hispanic tradition, a woman said to have drowned her own children in a fit of grief and rage, condemned to wander riverbanks and dark hallways forever after, wailing for the souls she can never reclaim. Parents have used her name for generations to keep children from straying out at night. She is not a casual boogeyman, so when this man starts invoking her name at 5 in the morning, locked in his bathroom, it sets a certain kind of stage. Watch.
5:23 de la mañana, gente, ya está empezando a amanecer. Yo desde las 9 de la noche estoy metido acá en el baño. A mí no me jode. Acá recién pasó un ovni y mira acá está el duende, ¿eh? ¡Deja de estar golpeando! ¡No esté golpeando! ¡No esté golpeando! ¡No! ¡Ah, no! ¡Andate! ¿Vos sos pelotudo? Te parió un teletubi, idiota, ¿eh? ¡Andate!
What you just heard was a man who claims he's been trapped in his bathroom since 9 the previous night. That's roughly 8 hours. While something on the other side of that door bangs, throws objects into the room, and refuses to let him leave. A roll of toilet paper, then a pink bottle, both sailing in from just off camera, and his response is to hurl a small trash can toward the door and yell back in rapid, panicked Spanish. Skeptics will immediately point out that everything thrown enters the frame from just off screen, exactly where a second person standing beside the camera could be standing. Others think the 8-hour detail is what makes it harder to dismiss entirely. Who sets up that kind of backstory for a joke? The build-up that follows across the next few clips starts to paint a stranger picture. In the second recording, made around 5:20 a.m., as dawn was just beginning to bleed through the window, the same man grabs what appears to be a long, thin stick and walks toward a darkened doorway. Listen closely.
5:20 de la mañana, gente. Está empezando a amanecer. Miren lo que es. Miren, ahí está el reloj. Y para los que no creían en la Llorona, miren, me desperté por los lamentos de esta. Pero no vinimos acá para estar teniéndole miedo. Venimos a darle al fandom lo que siempre busca. Mamoncita, no, mamoncita. ¿Con que te vas a venir a esconder? No te piando. No te piando. Levandum nerviosa. ¿Dónde estás? Salí. De donde quieras que estés, maldita. ¿No te das cuenta que ya nos cansaste con los pelos parados? Siempre lo mismo. Acá, se escuchó el ruido. Espectro. Baboso.
There's a dark shape visible in the doorway, vaguely humanoid, standing still, appearing to shift or retreat as he moves toward it. His approach is anything but afraid though. He taunts it in Spanish, recites what sounds like a parody of a magic spell, dares it to come out, and calls it a slimy spectre while making lightsaber sounds with his mouth. The comedic framing is deliberate, and it undercuts the eeriness of that figure in the doorway almost immediately. But here's the thing, the shape is there, and it does move. Whether that's a person, a shadow, or something else is genuinely difficult to say given the low light and shaky footage. By the third recording, made at 4:31 a.m. during a rainstorm, he's carrying a small wicker Christmas tree ornament and once again pointing his camera down a hallway toward a partially open door. Watch.
4:31 de la mañana, gente. Está lloviendo, miren lo que es. Y les voy a mostrar la Llorona. Y quiero que ustedes saquen su captura de pantalla. Acá tengo el arbolito navideño del económico, nomás de este que te regalan en cualquier basurero. Miren lo que es. Miren lo que es. Miren lo que es. Miren lo que es. Y no tiene pies, Miren lo que es. Pero acá no vinimos a tenerle miedo, gente. Acá vinimos a darle al verdadero fandom lo que siempre busca. ¿Dónde estás? ¿Por qué no salís? No, porque atrás de la puerta, puede esconderse atrás de la puerta. ¿Por qué no salís? ¿Por qué no salís? ¿Querés que te encanten los Jingle Bells? ¿Querés que te cante? Siempre lo mismo contigo, ¿no? Siempre apostando a que no te das que sí, que te tengo miedo, ¿no? ¿Quieres asustar al próximo, digo, Tengo el arbolito económico del económico acá. ¿Por qué no sales? ¿Por qué no sales de donde estás? Acá se escucha ruido. ¿Dónde estás? No te piando.
The figure standing in that dark gap is tall, slender, and completely motionless, and he claims it has no feet, though the bottom of whatever it is stays out of frame. He rushes in anyway, lights come on, and he spends the rest of the clip searching a cluttered bedroom, yelling challenges, offering to sing jingle bells, demanding the entity show itself. No audio anomaly is captured. Nothing moves on its own. And yet, that initial image in the doorway, static, dark, upright, keeps nagging at you. The fourth clip was filmed at 2:21 a.m., the coldest and darkest of the bunch, and the tone shifts. Watch closely.
2:21 de la mañana, gente. Yo les voy a mostrar lo que es la Llorona. Está haciendo 2 grados bajo cero. Allá está el reloj, las 2:21 de la mañana. Miren lo que es. Miren. Saquen sus capturas de pantalla. Miren, no te piando. Los seguidores me pidieron que diga esta frase. Padre nuestro. Escuchen. ¿Dónde estás? Vení, salí acá. Tienen que tener cuidado, gente, que no le pique. Tienen que tener cuidado que no le vaya a picar, gente. Allá está, miren, atrás de la ventana, no te piando. ¿Por qué no venís acá? ¿Por qué no venís a pararte de mano, ¿Por qué no venís a pararte de mano? Te voy a hacer volver de donde viniste. Agarrá y andate, mal peinada.
Right after he shouts a prayer, Padre Nuestro, a high-pitched wailing scream erupts from somewhere off camera. It's sharp and unmistakable, the kind of sound that would make the hair stand up on your neck. He immediately yells for anyone watching to listen, and his breathing goes ragged and panicked in a way that feels less theatrical than the earlier clips. That scream is the closest any of these recordings get to the La Llorona mythos directly. Her legend is built entirely around that sound, a woman's wail near dark spaces and doorways in the small hours of the morning. Skeptics argue it's a sound effect dropped in during editing, and the timing, perfectly synchronized with the prayer, is almost too convenient. But if you were standing in that house at 2 a.m., you might not stop to consider the editing timeline. The fifth and final recording, made at 4:33 a.m., takes the whole series in a direction that's harder to categorize. Watch.
4:33 de la mañana, gente, ya está empezando a amanecer. Miren lo que son los pollitos, como ya están cantando. Y a la gente que no cree en la Llorona, miren lo que es eso. Miren lo que es, cómo se está moviendo para todos lados, como que parece que tiene Parkinson ahí. Pero acá no vinimos a tenerle miedo, vinimos a darle al fandom lo que siempre busca. A ver. Con que escondiéndose, No. Acá te mando una nodu, por la duda. Y te mando otro regalo por si te querés venir a vivir acá. Siempre lo mismo con vos. Te voy a traer un acondicionador. A ver si te pones un poco en el pelo, porque las veces que vengo acá tenés los pelos parados. ¡Ridícula! Te reprendo en el nombre de todos los santos que pueden haber en el mundo. Siempre lo mismo con vos. Yo me miré todos los capítulos de las Tortugas Ninjas.
Taken together, what this series actually represents is genuinely difficult to pin down. 5 videos that oscillate between something that might be a real experience and something that might be elaborate, deliberately funny performance art built around one of the most potent figures in Latin American folklore. Whether or not La Llorona has anything to do with any of it, you be the judge. The following video was recorded inside an unfinished house during what appeared to be a routine walkthrough. A man moving through empty rooms, checking around corners, calling out into the silence the way most of us probably would if we felt like something was off. The house is under active construction, tools and paint cans scattered across the floors, new cabinets still waiting to be finished, a dark concrete staircase leading down into a basement that he approaches cautiously from the very first frame. He keeps calling out, "Hello? Anybody here?" Moving from room to room, his footsteps loud on the new wood-look flooring, the whole place feeling oddly tense despite being completely empty. Then something small happens first. A long piece of metal trim, balanced on the edge of the kitchen island, begins to slowly slide and drops to the floor with a soft thud, just enough to make him stop. He says, "What the heck is that?" and edges toward a bedroom doorway, still calling out, "Watch."
Hello? Hello? Anybody here? Hello? Hello? The heck is that? Hello? Who is it?
What follows is a sequence that's hard to process even on a second viewing. Two loud, sharp bangs erupt from off camera. Then an interior hallway door slams shut with violent force. And not slowly, not drifting, but snapping shut as if something threw it. Seconds later, the basement door slams shut behind him. He shouts, "Who is it?" And then a metallic clanging sound starts from inside that now closed basement. He screams and runs, dropping the phone completely, leaving the camera on the floor pointing up at the ceiling. And then an enormous crash erupts from somewhere above, like something structural gave way or was thrown. The camera sits there alone for over a minute, and then something weird happens. The phone spins by itself. After a while, he comes back, out of breath and visibly shaken, to pick up his phone. Some viewers have argued the metal trim sliding was a natural event, precarious placement, vibration from footsteps, but the door slamming sequence is harder to dismiss. Poltergeist activity, according to many paranormal researchers, often follows exactly this kind of pattern. Not one event, but a rapid chain of them, as if something is escalating deliberately, pushing harder each time it's acknowledged. The second clip picks up somewhere similar in energy. At nighttime, in what appears to be a residential home, a man moves through the house with his phone, checking each room: a downstairs bedroom, a cluttered room, a laundry area, then down into a basement living space. You can hear a cough, a creak, the ambient quiet of a house at night. Then at 43 seconds, every light in the house goes out at once. Listen closely. What he finds when he makes it back upstairs is what stops you cold. The refrigerator door is standing wide open. A wooden dining chair has been placed on top of the table. A framed picture on the wall is now hanging at a severe angle. And in the kitchen, a large knife is standing upright, blade stabbed down into a cutting board. None of those things were like that before he went downstairs. The sound design throughout this clip, a low droning hum, a high-pitched screech when the lights cut, does feel added, and the progression of reveals follows a structure that's almost too clean, too cinematic. Some viewers called it staged almost immediately. But here's the thing, the knife in the cutting board, standing perfectly upright, is the kind of image that stays with you regardless of what you believe about it. In poltergeist cases, sharp objects being positioned or moved deliberately is one of the most documented and most disturbing categories of reported activity, with some traditions interpreting it as a specific kind of threat, not random chaos, but something intentional and directed. Whether both of these clips represent genuine events or carefully constructed moments, the pattern they share is unmistakable. A house that seems quiet, a man alone, and then everything happening at once. I'd love to hear what you think in the comments. And if you're enjoying watching this video, like and subscribe. Because in both cases, whatever the explanation, neither man stuck around long enough to find out what came next. The following clip you're about to watch was captured by a family who believe that their house is haunted. And honestly, after seeing this, it's hard to blame them. After weeks of things going bump in the night, they decided to set up an infrared camera to see what was happening in the living room while they were out. They probably expected a door to drift or a shadow to pass by, but what they got instead was a full-on auditory assault. Right in the middle of the quiet, empty house, there's this massive, booming bang that hits so hard it actually distorts the audio feed. It's not just a settling floorboard, it's a localized burst of energy. But the real hair on the back of your neck moment happens seconds later. As the echo fades, you can hear a clear, very human sounding shh. It's as if the entity is mocking the camera or telling the house to keep its mouth shut. Some eagle-eyed viewers even pointed out a faint sniffing sound right before the hush. To top it off, they later caught the sound of whistling and saw clothes on a rack moving by themselves. This isn't just a residual haunting, it's an entity that's fully aware it's being watched and seems to be getting a kick out of performing for the lens. The activity didn't remain a silent observer for long. It soon began to respond directly to the family's attempts at communication. In this next sequence, the mother and her children decide to test if the presence in their hallway is capable of following instructions, treating the encounter not with fear, but with a surprising level of curiosity.
Close the door. Can you close the door, please? What the fuck?
Let me ask. Open the door if you need help.
What the? You do? Oh my! It opened it wide as shit. Oh my god!
Close the door if you need help.
I swear to God, I put it on.
Oh my! Why is it doing? What the? Bro, no! Yes, I knew. Yes, I knew. Elgin, please.
Do you see
Elgin, can you please? It's closed all the way, bro. It's closed all the way.
Open it all the way.
This place haunted.
Oh my god.
Close the door if you need help. Close the door.
I'm getting scared. I'm getting so scared. I'm gonna cry, bro.
Standing in the living room, they ask the entity to open the door if it needs help. Almost instantly, the heavy door at the end of the hall swings wide with a slow, purposeful motion. The interaction becomes even more startling when they ask it to close the door. The door doesn't just drift shut, it is pushed with enough force to fully engage the latch. You can clearly hear the mechanical click as the door locks back into place, a feat that would be impossible for a simple draft or a shifting foundation to accomplish. This level of precision indicates an intelligent entity with the ability to manipulate hardware and respond to verbal cues in real time. The family is left standing in a house where the doors act as a medium for dialogue, confirming that the shh from the previous night was just the beginning of a much more interactive haunting. It seems the entity isn't just living in the house, it's listening to every word they say. As the activity within the house intensified, the family began to suspect that the disturbances were not limited to the interior walls. Driven by the sound of inexplicable noises echoing from the darkness of their property, the father decided to extend his surveillance to the backyard, hoping to identify a natural cause for the unrest. What he discovered was a new, bizarre layer of the anomaly, one that seemed to possess a more organic, yet entirely unnatural form. Listen carefully and watch out for the orbs. In the grainy night vision footage, what appears to be a large, bird-like creature is seen momentarily before the atmosphere is flooded with strange orbs of light. These aren't the typical dust motes or insects often dismissed in paranormal videos. These orbs possess a self-luminous quality and a level of intentionality in their movement that causes the camera's digital tracking system to visibly struggle. It frantically pans and zooms, unable to lock onto the rapidly shifting light sources that appear to be playing a game of hide and seek with the lens. The father noted that these visual anomalies are consistently accompanied by unusual, sharp sounds that seem to originate from the air itself. This expansion of the haunting suggests that whatever is interacting with the family isn't just claiming a room, it's claiming their entire environment. The presence is no longer just the thing in the hallway, it has become a pervasive shadow that covers every square inch of their lives, waiting for the cover of night to manifest its most bizarre and evasive forms. Throughout the documentation of these events, viewers consistently offered the same piece of advice: move. For most, the logical solution to a haunted house is to simply leave it behind and start fresh. Taking this suggestion to heart, the family uprooted their lives and settled into a completely different residence, hoping to find the peace that had been stolen from them in their previous home. However, in this next sequence, the true, terrifying nature of their situation is finally revealed. At exactly 3:00 a.m., in the absolute silence of their brand new home, the familiar sounds of the unknown returned with a vengeance. Despite using software to strip away the white noise, the audio remains sharp, with the sounds of deliberate knocking and heavy objects falling from shelves in the distance. The father, audibly exhausted, addresses his audience with a chilling realization that changes everything. He confirms that this is his new house, yet the activity remains unchanged. This is the definitive moment the narrative shifts from a haunted house to a haunted family. In paranormal terminology, this is a person-centered haunting, where the entity is anchored not to a physical structure or historical site, but to the individuals themselves. Moving 1,000 miles away wouldn't make a difference. The shh and the shadows are traveling with them in the moving truck, making it clear that there is no geographic escape from what has chosen them. In the final and most conclusive piece of evidence, the father decides to confront the presence in their new kitchen, seeking a direct answer to the question that has been haunting them more than the entity itself. Sitting in the middle of a room that should be a sanctuary, he begins a verbal dialogue, asking the entity to manifest a sound on command.
Hello? Can you make a noise? Can you make a loud noise? Is this your old house? Have you been following us? I can hear you. Are you in the kitchen? Can you knock 2 times? I only hear one knock. Can you consistently knock 2 times? What is your name?
The response is immediate and chillingly intelligent. Perhaps the most disturbing moment comes when he asks the entity directly if it followed them from their old house. The ensuing series of knocks feels like a sentient confirmation, a dark admission that the change of address was entirely in vain. This interaction removes any lingering hope that the family was simply dealing with a bad house. It confirms a person-centered attachment, a phenomenon where an entity is emotionally or energetically tethered to a specific individual or group. The family is now faced with the sobering reality that they aren't just living in a haunted environment, they are carrying the haunting with them. The doors may be new and the walls freshly painted, but the guest in their kitchen is the same shadow that drove them away from their last home. They have discovered that you can leave a building, but you cannot leave behind a presence that has decided you are its anchor. So what do you think? Is there any way to break a bond that transcends physical boundaries? Or are some attachments simply permanent? I'll let you come up with your own conclusions. The next clip was captured in a home where the owner lives completely alone, but based on this footage, it looks like he might have a roommate he didn't account for. The man's son-in-law shared this video after checking the security feed from a day when the house was supposed to be entirely empty. What starts as a quiet afternoon quickly turns into a display of physical aggression that's pretty hard to debunk. Right off the bat, you hear this heavy, shuffling sound, almost like someone is dragging a piece of furniture across the floor. Then, without warning, the double closet doors slam shut with enough force to make you jump. Now, here is where it gets scientifically weird. The family points out 2 major red flags. First, those doors don't have handles on the inside, and the closet is so packed with a washer and dryer that there is physically no room for a person to be standing in there to pull them shut. But the real nope moment happens right after the slam. You can see a light flickering from the gap in the doors. According to the owner, that light hasn't worked in years and isn't even plugged into a power source anymore. We see a lot of ghost videos, but when you combine a physical slam with a dead light bulb coming back to life, you're moving out of the realm of drafty houses and into something much more intentional. It's as if the entity wanted to make sure its presence was felt, heard, and seen all at once. Is this a classic case of an entity using a dead electronic as a battery to manifest? Or is the house itself just holding onto some aggressive energy? This next clip takes us to a hotel in the Lake District, where a solo traveler captured something that turned a peaceful getaway into a night of pure paranoia. While filming a TikTok in her room, she started noticing strange noises that didn't belong. If you listen closely, you can hear these distinct, disembodied whispers. One viewer even pointed out that it sounds like a voice saying she's already nervous, which, if true, is a whole new level of creepy. It wasn't just her imagination though. When she reviewed the footage, the voices were undeniably there, vibrating in the silence of her empty room.
Hello? Oh, fucking hell.
Hello? Hello?
Now, here's where it gets interesting. Once the video hit the internet, the comments section turned into an unofficial paranormal forum. Several people immediately recognized the layout and asked if she was staying at The Swan, a well-known hotel in the area. One user reported it was the most haunted night ever, and they didn't sleep a wink during their stay. While another guest confirmed they had an almost identical experience in a loft room at that same location. Feeling increasingly uneasy, she called down to reception, and they promised to send someone up to check on her. When she finally opens the door, expecting to see a staff member, she's met with a long, silent, and completely empty hallway. The sheer length of that corridor makes it almost impossible for someone to have ducked around a corner that fast. While a few skeptics in the comments suggested noisy heating pipes, the majority of viewers were just screaming for her to lock the door and stay inside. So, what do you think? Is this hotel truly holding on to spirits from the past that like to comment on their guest's state of mind? Or is it just a case of old plumbing and a hyper-aware traveler? In the following clip you're about to watch, we see a terrifying example of a child interacting with something that an adult is completely blind to. A mother is just casually filming her little boy, Jensen, while he lines up his toy cars on the living room floor. It's a completely innocent, quiet moment, right up until a sudden noise echoes from the other side of the room. What makes this video so chilling isn't the sound itself, but Jensen's immediate, visceral reaction to it. According to his mum, he is not typically a cuddly or clingy kid, but the absolute second this happens, his survival instincts completely take over. Watch what happens when his mum starts asking him very specific questions about exactly what he is looking at.
What? It's okay. Do you see someone?
Yes.
Who do you see?
Dad.
Who is it?
Daddy.
You see someone over there? What are they doing? That's what they're doing?
Yes.
Are they scary? Are they nice? Like, do you want to go play with them? They're not there no more?
Yes.
They are? What are they doing? Is there still someone over there by your toys?
Daddy.
Is it a man? Or is it a lady?
Daddy.
A lady? It's a woman? Do you know her name?
Dad.
What's her name?
That's true.
Oh, she's in the kitchen now? Oh.
It's high.
She's up high?
Yes. Dad. Oh. Dad. Oh.
What?
Daddy.
What is it?
Dad.
You tell me, I don't see anything.
Oh, Dad.
You keep pointing by your toys. Is there someone by your toys?
Oh, shit.
You keep pointing to the chair.
Oh.
Is there someone in the chair?
Yes.
Can you point to where you see someone? Where are they?
Dad.
They're right there. What are they doing?
Dad. I see. Dad.
The chair?
Dad.
Over by your toys?
Yes.
Well, are they gone now? Did they go bye-bye?
Dad.
Right there?
Yes, I see.
They're by the chair.
Yes.
Can you wave to them if you see them?
Ada. Ada, Gary. Mommy.
Yeah?
Ada. I see.
You see them?
I see.
Is it boy or girl?
Girl.
A girl?
Ada, go.
You see the girl?
Oh, Ada.
Can you ask her name?
A girl.
A girl. You see a girl? Does she make you happy or scared? Scared?
I see her there.
Yeah, you keep pointing to the chair.
A girl.
A girl? Is she old? Like, is she maybe mommy's grandma?
Ada. I go.
A girl?
I go. I stay.
A girl sitting over there?
I go. I see that.
You see that? You see a girl?
I go see. I see that. Go see.
Oh.
See.
Did she wave to you?
No, I see that.
Is she nice?
Yes.
Oh, she is nice. Where is she?
Bye-bye.
I know you're waving to the chair, but where is she behind? Like, can you look at her? Is she there? I don't see her, do you?
Papa.
Oh. Did she leave?
No.
No, she's still there?
Yes.
Where? I put you down and you go show me where she is. Go show me. Go by her.
Ada.
Can you go give her a high five?
Nope.
Why?
High five.
You don't want to?
There is nothing more unsettling than a toddler casually describing a nightmare standing right in front of them. When she asks what the presence is doing, the terrifying face and sound he mimics to demonstrate is pure nightmare fuel. But the absolute scariest part of this footage is how he physically tracks the entity's movements in real time. He doesn't just stare at one dark corner. He points to the end of the living room, then tracks it moving into the kitchen, and finally points straight up to the ceiling. In paranormal research, an entity that defies gravity to crawl or hover on a ceiling is almost never classified as a standard human spirit. That kind of unnatural, spider-like movement is a classic hallmark of something much darker, often associated with demonic entities or crawlers. The fact that this entity is intentionally keeping itself hidden from the adults while actively showing itself to the toddler is a textbook isolation tactic. It knows the child's sensory filters are still wide open, and it is deliberately using that connection to feed off his pure, unfiltered panic. After little Jensen's terrifying encounter with whatever was crawling on the ceiling, the family understandably set up a security camera to see what was actually happening in their living room. And a few days later, the camera caught another incident. The older brother, Tucker, is just getting ready to head out with his mum, but as he's standing there, the environment is clearly highly active. Keep your focus on the little toy duck sitting completely by itself in the middle of the floor, and keep an eye out for the strange, illuminated anomalies floating through the air. Watch Tucker's body language closely too. It looks like he might actually catch a glimpse of the movement out of the corner of his eye before they walk out the door. When you combine floating orbs with actual physical object manipulation, it completely changes the conversation. Skeptics love to quickly debunk orbs as just dust particles or bugs catching the infrared light of a security camera. But in paranormal research, when an orb is captured in the exact same frame as a heavy physical interaction, like a toy being dragged across the floor, investigators classify those spheres as concentrated balls of raw spiritual energy actively trying to manifest. The creepiest part of this footage is the timeline of the movement. The entity moves the duck slightly while Tucker is standing right there, almost like it's testing the waters to see if he notices. But the absolute second the front door closes and the house is completely empty, the toy is forcefully dragged even further to the right. It proves that whatever has attached itself to this family isn't just putting on a spooky show for an audience. It is physically occupying their space, and it has absolutely no problem playing with the kids' toys the moment they leave the room. In this next clip, we look at the absolute worst case scenario for anyone who lives by themselves. The guy filming this is just returning home after stepping out for the night. As he walks up to his house, he casually glances up at his second-story window, but instead of the dark, empty room he was expecting, he sees something that stops him completely in his tracks. Someone, or something, is already inside, looking right back down at him. Keep in mind, his caption explicitly states that he lives completely alone.
No mamen. Acabo de llegar del trabajo y vean lo que estoy viendo en la ventana. No mamen.
Seeing a pale, almost translucent face staring out from a pitch-black room is pure nightmare fuel. In the paranormal community, entities that present themselves exactly like this are often referred to as watchers. Unlike poltergeists that aggressively throw things around to cause chaos and fear, watchers are incredibly still, quiet, and deeply territorial. They usually claim a specific room or floor of a house and simply observe the living. However, the fact that it is intentionally hovering right at the glass while he is standing outside shows a terrifying level of awareness. It isn't just mindlessly haunting a corner of the room, it is actively looking out the window, watching him return. It is a bold, territorial display, basically daring him to come inside, unlock his front door, and try to go to sleep. You see, just because you pay the rent doesn't mean you actually live alone. So, what do you think that is? I'll leave you to be the judge. In this next clip, we tap into one of the most primal fears you can experience. You're home completely alone, locked in your bedroom, when someone starts knocking and calling your name in your mother's exact voice. The only problem, the first time this happened, she was actually on the phone with her real mum at that exact moment, who confirms she isn't anywhere near the house. When dealing with a mimic, the golden rule is to never respond and never open the door. But watch what happens when she refuses to answer and the entity decides it's completely tired of waiting in the hallway.
Hey guys, I'm home alone and I'm getting ready for bed.
Adrena!
Mom? Are you home?
Adrena! Are you there?
Wait, I thought you weren't going to be home for another 30 minutes. What?
Adrena!
Her scream, as that door slowly swings open to reveal an empty hallway, is absolutely bone-chilling. But that final moment actually sparked a massive debate in the comments. Are mimics physically capable of opening doors on their own? In traditional paranormal lore, the answer is almost always no. Mimics are considered psychological predators. They copy the voices of your loved ones, specifically to bait you into opening the door, because they lack the kinetic energy or the spiritual permission to cross a closed boundary on their own. They rely entirely on trickery to get an invitation. So, what does it mean if the door opens by itself? From a paranormal theory standpoint, it suggests two incredibly terrifying possibilities. Either this entity has been feeding off her raw panic long enough to gather the physical power of a poltergeist, Or it was never just a mimic to begin with. What do you think it was? In this next clip, a man was walking through the Valley Plaza Mall late at night, long after the stores had closed and the crowds had gone home. It should be dead silent, but as he's walking past the dark storefronts and empty massage chairs, he hears something that immediately makes his blood run cold. The distinct, echoing sound of children laughing. So, he immediately pulls out his phone to document it and manages to capture the giggling on camera. But as he's trying to figure out where the sound is coming from, he notices something moving in the shadows down the hall. Keep your eyes on the dark kiosk counter in the distance and listen closely.
On everything I love, I just heard a group of kids over here laughing. On everything, bro. I just heard a group of kids laughing. Where the hell the kids at? What the fuck? Bro, I know I'm not tripping, bro. I just heard a whole bunch of kids laughing, bro. You hear that shit? What the fuck? Bro, I'm in the mall by myself. Where the fuck is that shit coming from? I know y'all heard that shit. Bro, what the fuck? I'm about to get up out this bitch. What the fuck is that? What the fuck is that? Staring right at me. Right there. My heart beating fast as fuck, bro. I'm scared as fuck. There's a person right there in a red shirt right in front of me. Right there, y'all see him. There's a person right there. Bro, what the fuck going on? He just standing there. Look, he just standing there, bro. Bro. I'm out of here.
Hearing a child's laugh in an abandoned or empty space is basically the ultimate horror movie cliche, but in the paranormal community, it is actually taken very seriously. There are generally two schools of thought when it comes to phantom children. The first is that it's residual energy. Malls are places of high emotion, excitement, and energy, especially for kids. That intense joy can basically get recorded into the environment, playing back like a broken tape when the building is quiet. However, the second theory is much darker. Many investigators believe that malevolent entities will actively mimic the voices of crying or laughing children. It's a predatory tactic designed to instantly lower your guard and trigger your natural instinct to go investigate and help. When you combine that phantom laughing with a physical shadow ducking behind a counter in the distance, it looks a lot less like a residual echo and a lot more like an intelligent entity playing a very dark game of hide and seek, actively trying to bait him further into the dark mall. This next video was recorded by a father and daughter duo who were touring the historic streets of Galveston, Texas. Galveston is widely considered one of the most haunted cities in the United States, largely due to its tragic history with the Great Storm of 1900. For these two, ghost hunting is a shared passion, but they actually managed to capture their most compelling evidence without even realizing it. While they were filming the exterior of one of the city's famous Victorian-style houses, they missed the figure standing in the second-story window. It wasn't until they got home and rewatched the footage that they saw the pale shape looking back at them before it seemingly retreats into the darkness of the room.
Alright, so we took this video a while back. It's probably about 4 years ago, when I took my daughter to Galveston. We're doing those ghost tours. And later we come back and my daughter says, Dad, look, I think I got something on one of her live photos that she did. And we've always wondered if that was something, but y'all let me know what y'all think. We think it's somebody there, like a ghost, and then he disappears. Like he's in the frame, and then he disappears in the window. Now I'm gonna zoom in on it and play it. It was a live, so I have to zoom in and then do it because it's hard to see the whole video, but when we saw it there, that's what we call it. Y'all tell me what y'all think this is. So like you see there's a guy right there, like the picture of him, and then if you look, it's like he walks away, like it walks from, he's there and then he just walks away like through the thing. So y'all tell me what y'all think about that. I don't know. I know it's kind of hard to see on there, and I was trying to zoom in and zoom out and trying to get a closer look at it, but the first picture I put, it shows that it's still framing me up close, and it looks like a guy with like a hat with the white, looks like a figure in that window. Like I said, I had to try to zoom in because it's a live video, so if you push it one way, you have to zoom on it just right so it follows it. But I don't know. What do y'all guys think? Do we get something? Do we not get something? Is it maybe something? Could it be a ghost? Could it not be a ghost? I wanted to research more on like that house because apparently there was a lot of stuff that went on in that house. If you've ever taken the tour in Galveston, one of them that goes by, we've taken a couple times just because me and my daughters, we love to go ghost hunting. But we've taken it a couple times. They showed us other pictures and stuff around there. Some other pictures other people have taken. But yeah, just let me know what y'all think. I mean, I talked to one of the tour guides that gave us the tour last time. I showed her that and she was like, yeah, I think that's something. So I don't know if she's saying that or what, but y'all tell me what y'all think.
Galveston's haunted reputation comes from a massive amount of residual energy left behind by its turbulent past. These old houses are like sponges for spiritual activity, and sightings of figures in white are incredibly common in this area. Often, these are believed to be the spirits of former residents who are still tethered to their family homes, repeating their daily routines in a loop. However, the way this figure moves is what has paranormal investigators talking. A residual haunting usually doesn't react to the living. It just plays like a movie on a loop. But this figure appears to notice the camera and immediately moves away, which suggests an intelligent entity. It knew it was being watched and chose to disappear back into the shadows of the house. What do you think that was? Was that a spirit of old Galveston watching from the shadows? Or is it just a trick of the light? I'll leave you to be the judge. The following video you're about to watch was taken off the security camera of a daycare, and what happens on this day was a visceral display of a child's instinctive fear that has since left the staff questioning the safety of their space. Children are often dismissed for having overactive imaginations, but the reaction of the young boy in this footage suggests he was responding to a very real threat. As he plays alone in the back room, he suddenly bolts toward the main area, his screams indicating a level of terror that goes beyond a simple jump scare. His guardian immediately rushes in to find the source of the disturbance, but the room appears empty. While she's there, the entity makes its presence undeniably known in the area where the kids are playing.
Who's off the cover?
Maybe it was just air. Yeah, what was it done? Well, I could have
While the adult is searching for an intruder, a heavy plastic playhouse is violently flipped over by an unseen force. This requires significant kinetic mass, far beyond what a simple draft or unbalanced toy could achieve. But the most unsettling detail is what many viewers, and eventually the staff, spotted upon reviewing the playback. If you look closely at the white door frame just as the boy flees, you can see dark, finger-like appendages briefly gripping the top of the trim. It appears as though something was literally hanging over the doorway, watching the child escape. It's a chilling reminder that sometimes the things children fear aren't just in their heads, they are actually waiting in the shadows. Seeking an explanation for this aggressive outburst, the Guardian returned to the now abandoned room to investigate a potential catalyst for the activity. Hoping to understand why the little boy was so terrified to even glance at the door, she highlights a specific piece of furniture that many paranormal researchers often warn against as a high-risk object. In the corner of the room sits a child-sized vanity with mirrors positioned in such a way that they directly face one another.
I wanted to quickly show you exactly what it was that was scaring the little kid that my mom was watching. So pretty much, so firstly we have the house, and obviously you guys saw that it fell, but the other thing I wanted to point out was that it's pretty hefty, so it really doesn't make any sense that it would just fall on its own like that. So that's just something I wanted to point out. And this is the room. The crazy thing about this is that there was like markings at the top of the entranceway of like the doorway, and I guess in the video you can see hands gripping onto the doorway. I don't really know what to make of that. I thought at first that it was like bugs or something like that, but it looked almost like two hands like gripping on the top, like leading into this room, just like. But the main thing, and the reason that the little boy was screaming, is actually in here. We have this covered up for a reason. Apparently, the little boy told my mom that he saw a face in these mirrors. We already found someone who's going to take it off our hands and pick it up off Facebook Marketplace, but we have been keeping this room off limits.
The boy claimed to have seen a face manifesting within the glass, a detail that aligns perfectly with long-standing occult folklore regarding infinity mirrors. In many spiritual traditions, placing mirrors in this exact position, where two mirrors are facing themselves, is believed to create a spiritual corridor or a portal, essentially thinning the veil between our world and the next. The infinite reflection is thought to act as a bridge, allowing entities from the periphery to step into our physical reality. Because of this, the daycare has declared the room off limits, but the physical violence we witnessed with the playhouse suggests that simply keeping the door shut might not be enough to contain what came through. Once a portal is established, the energy tends to anchor itself to the space. It's a sobering look at how a simple decorative choice might have invited an unwanted guest into a place meant for play. Recognizing that the situation was escalating, the staff made the difficult decision to remove the suspected source of the energy from the premises entirely. In an effort to restore peace to the daycare, they listed the vanity on Facebook Marketplace, being fully transparent with potential buyers about the strange history attached to the piece.
That we're going to keep the room closed off from the kiddos for now so they can play in the rest of the space. We actually are going to go ahead and get rid of the vanity. We put it on Facebook Marketplace. Obviously we told them like, hey, like, we think that this is responsible for some weird haunting stuff. They said they were fine with it, so I don't know. This is closed off for now, so the kids are just gonna stay here and not in there anymore until we get this figured out.
Despite the warnings, an urgent buyer came forward, claiming to be unbothered by the reported hauntings. This decision to offload the object highlights a common dilemma in paranormal cases. Does removing an anchored object truly end the activity, or does the entity remain attached to the location itself? The issue might be with the room's layout, rather than the vanity, as the environmental thinness created by the mirrors might persist even after they are gone. For now, the room remains gated and empty, a silent zone in a building that should be filled with laughter. The daycare staff is hopeful that once the vanity is hauled away, the hand at the top of the door frame and the shifting shadows will go with it. But as any seasoned investigator will tell you, some doors, once opened, are notoriously difficult to close, especially when they have been welcomed by a configuration that invites the unknown. While the staff waited for the buyer to arrive, the daycare remained in a state of high alert. The vanity was still positioned in the back room, serving as a silent, reflecting observer of the growing tension. However, any hopes that the entity would remain passive until the piece was removed were quickly shattered. In the following sequence, the security camera captures an event that defies the mechanical reality of the building. The door leading into the restricted room, which had been firmly latched shut to keep the children out, begins to swing open with a slow, deliberate motion. There are no drafts in the building strong enough to disengage a physical latch, yet the door moves as if pushed by a steady, invisible hand. The fact that the vanity remained in the room during this manifestation suggests a defensive posture from the entity, as if it were asserting its claim over the space before its anchor could be taken away. This kind of interaction is frequently reported in homes where a haunted object is about to be removed. The activity often spikes in intensity, becoming more overt and aggressive. It's as though the presence is no longer content with subtle hints and has moved into a phase of direct physical defiance, making it clear that it won't be ignored. As the tension continued to mount, the staff decided to use a common piece of children's equipment to monitor the room from a distance. One walkie-talkie was left in the back room alongside the vanity, while the other remained with the staff in the main daycare area. It was a simple experiment, but the results were anything but expected. Through the static of the walkie-talkie, a series of rhythmic, deliberate sounds began to emerge. These weren't just the random pops of interference. They sounded remarkably like heavy, measured footsteps, or perhaps a persistent tapping on a wooden surface. The regularity of the noise suggests a sentient source, something pacing the restricted room while the door remained shut. In paranormal investigations, this is a classic manifestation of an entity using communication devices to bridge the gap between the unseen and the audible. Since the other walkie-talkie was directly in the presence of the portal mirrors, it's theorized that the device was acting as a microphone for the activity occurring in that thinned reality. There's a specific irony in using such a brightly colored, cheerful toy to capture something so ominous. It reinforces the idea that this presence has fully integrated itself into the daycare's environment, utilizing whatever objects are at its disposal to signal its existence. The final confirmation of the room's energy came through a physical sweep. The Guardian carried the walkie-talkie through the daycare to determine if the interference was widespread or localized. As she moves between the main hallway and the threshold of the restricted room, the difference in auditory feedback is startling. Outside the room, the device is relatively quiet, but the second she steps into the space containing the vanity, the walkie-talkie erupts into a frantic, rhythmic clicking. It sounds remarkably like a Geiger counter hitting a radioactive hot zone. When she retreats, the noise vanishes. When she enters, it returns with aggressive speed. This localization is the definitive hallmark of an anchored haunting. It confirms that the entity's influence is tethered specifically to that square footage. Some commenters have suggested that the vanity didn't just bring the energy, it acted as the lightning rod that allowed it to strike. The daycare has since moved the furniture and had the space cleansed, hoping that removing the portal would finally break the entity's grip on the building. Whether the daycare is truly quiet now remains to be seen, but the physical evidence captured across these 6 clips tells a story of an uninvited guest that was very much at home. So, what do you think? Is the room finally empty, or did the vanity simply leave behind a permanent hole in the veil? I'll let you come up with your own conclusions. In this next clip, a routine night of monitoring a sleeping child turns into a parent's worst nightmare. Many families use nursery cameras for peace of mind, but for this household, the technology captured a physical interaction that defies a rational explanation. As the child sleeps soundly in their crib, pay close attention to the white charging cord and controller hanging off the edge of the nearby furniture. From the deep shadows beneath the crib, a small, pale, hand-like manifestation reaches out and distinctly grips the cord, pulling it downward with deliberate force. The child instantly stirs, as if sensing a presence in the immediate vicinity. In paranormal research, these partial manifestations are particularly chilling because they suggest an entity that has gathered enough energy to form physical appendages. The shape of the hand appears small, leading some to speculate it could be a child's spirit, but the aggressive nature of the movement has others fearing a more opportunistic presence. It is a stark reminder that even in the supposed safety of a nursery, we may not be as alone as we think. The activity in the home didn't stop with subtle tugs on a wire. The next day, the homeowners decided to take a more proactive approach after a series of unexplained events left them feeling uneasy in their own space. They set up an infrared camera to monitor the main living area while the entire family was out of the house, hoping to catch a glimpse of whatever was causing the disturbances. What they captured instead was an auditory assault that suggests an intelligent and seemingly territorial presence. Amidst the normal background noise of the empty house, the silence is suddenly shattered by a massive, booming bang that sounds as if it's coming from right next to the camera lens. The force of the sound is so intense, it causes a visible distortion in the audio feed. But the most chilling part happens just seconds later. As the echoes of the bang fade, a clear, deliberate, and very human-sounding shh is heard, as if the entity is mocking the recording device, or perhaps hushing the house itself. Later in the same recording, the homeowners also captured the distinct sound of whistling and witnessed clothing hanging on a rack, moving on its own. This combination of physical manipulation and vocal mimicry is a hallmark of a high-energy haunting, where the entity is no longer hiding but actively engaging with the environment. For these residents, the shh was the final straw, a direct sign that whatever is in their home knows they are watching. Is this a spirit asserting its dominance over the home while the owners are away, or is it trying to warn them of something even more malevolent lurking in the walls? In the following video, we head to Duval County, Florida, where a resident named Eric Battle captures an encounter that feels less like a run-in with local wildlife and more like a scene from a supernatural thriller. Eric had stepped off his porch late at night to check on his chickens after a long day of work. For weeks leading up to this night, he had been plagued by unsettling anomalies, fleeting shadows darting just out of sight, and the unmistakable sound of footsteps crunching on gravel when he knew for a fact he was alone. Initially, he attempted to brush these occurrences off as his mind playing tricks, or perhaps a stray animal. But the frequency began to form a pattern that felt less like a coincidence and more like a deliberate, focused escalation. What he captures on this day is an auditory manifestation that defies every logical law of nature. Listen carefully.
Y'all, I just walked off the porch and I came out here to check on the chickens. I just heard, first off, I heard my name. Second off, it sounded like somebody was saying, help me. Hold on. Hey.
Help. I need help. Eric, can you help me?
In paranormal research, this specific phenomenon is often referred to as mimicry, a predatory tactic used by certain entities to lure individuals away from the safety of their homes and into the darkness. The atmosphere shifts instantly from curiosity to deep-seated confrontation as Eric ventures further into the brush to find the source. However, on a separate day, the entity demonstrates that its influence on the property has evolved from mere sound to physical manipulation. Take a look.
And so we keep this stuff like this locked. We keep stuff like this locked because, like I said, crackheads. Let's check to make sure it's locked. Door's locked. This is the trailer that I was worried about. Don't fucking see that, bro? Look, I'm telling you, bro. What the fuck? Okay, we're just gonna peek in. Oh my, what the fuck? There's fucking walking around in this motherfucker, bro. Hello? Guess we're gonna have to climb in this motherfucker. Probably should have brought my gun. Hello? Fuck! Y'all fucking heard that shit. Hold on, man. It's happening all around me right now. Like it's the worst that it's ever been.
The mimicry goes from a voice pleading for help in a tone eerily similar to Eric's own, to a true escalation when physical objects begin to move. As he investigates an abandoned trailer on his land, the interior looks like it has been violently ransacked. You can also hear metal bangs against metal and heavy items sliding across the floor, despite the doors being locked from the outside and no visible entry point for a human or a large animal. Some viewers theorize this could be a skinwalker or flesh pedestrian, beings known for replicating human speech and possessing enough kinetic strength to manipulate the physical world at will. So, what do you think? Is a physical intruder toying with Eric Battle, or has a sentient manifestation from the shadows of Duval County decided to claim the property as its own? I'll let you come up with your own conclusions.